Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to ask a question today that sounds simple, but the answer, it could be a total game changer for your health. Could just sitting in a hot room be one of the best things you can do for your body? Let's dive into the science of saunas.
For literally thousands of years, people have used saunas, mostly to relax, right? To just feel good. But what if there's way more going on? Well, a whole bunch of new research is suggesting that regular sauna time could have some really profound effects on our health. We're talking everything from soothing achy joints to maybe, just maybe, helping us live longer.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at a huge longevity study, see how all that heat can potentially fight chronic pain, and even explore what it does for our mood. And, this is super important, we'll cover the big safety warnings because this isn't for everyone. Let's get into the data.
Okay, so to really get one of the sauna's biggest secrets, we first have to talk about this silent troublemaker inside our bodies called chronic inflammation. Now, this isn't the kind of inflammation you get when you twist your ankle. No, think of it more like a constant low-grade fire that's just always smoldering inside you. And that's bad news because it's linked to a much higher risk of death from a whole host of diseases. And that idea of inflammation brings us to this really groundbreaking study out of Finland. And if you know anything about Finland, you know saunas aren't just a thing they do. They're a core part of their national identity.
So get this. For almost 30 years, researchers followed more than 2,500 men. This was a massive deep dive into their lives. They tracked their health, how often they used a sauna, and they measured their inflammation levels with a blood marker called C-reactive protein. We're talking about a serious long-term commitment to figuring out what's really going on here.
So, the first thing this study confirmed was something we kind of already knew, that inflammation is dangerous. The men with high levels of that C-reactive protein, they had a 28% higher risk of dying from anything. But hold on, because here's where it gets really interesting.
So the big question was, what happened when you factored in their sauna habits? Well, for the guys with high inflammation who didn't use the sauna much, that increased risk of death was still there. But, and this is the incredible part, for the men with the exact same high inflammation levels who used a sauna frequently, we're talking 3 to 7 times a week, that extra risk, it completely disappeared. Gone. It's like the sauna was actually neutralizing the deadly effect of that chronic inflammation. Okay, so living longer is great, but what about a more immediate problem, like chronic pain? Can saunas help with that? Well, there's a lot of exciting research happening here, especially for conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, and it mostly focuses on one specific type of sauna.
Right, so not all saunas are the same. A traditional one, the classic kind, it heats up the air in the room, and then the hot air heats you. But an infrared sauna works differently. It uses these special lamps to heat your body's tissues directly without making the air around you nearly as hot. And it's that direct heating that has scientists so excited about its potential for pain relief.
So how exactly does this work? Well, that infrared heat goes deep into your tissues. This makes your blood vessels widen. The technical term is vasodilation. What that means for you is you get this rush of oxygen-rich blood flowing to inflamed spots, like your aching joints. And that increased blood flow can really help bring down swelling and with it, the pain.
And look, this isn't just a cool theory. They actually tested it. In a pilot study, patients with rheumatoid arthritis did a series of infrared sauna sessions, and the results were, they were pretty amazing. The researcher said, and I'm quoting here, pain and stiffness decreased, and improvements were statistically significant. On top of that, the patients also felt less fatigue. For anyone living with chronic pain, that is a huge deal.
All right, so we've talked about a longer life, and we've talked about less pain. But what about just the here and now? Can a sauna simply make you feel better day in, day out? For that, let's head over to northern Sweden for another study.
So, in this study, researchers just asked hundreds of people about their lives, their sauna habits, how happy they were, that sort of thing. And the difference was pretty striking. The regular sauna users, they reported being significantly happier, having more energy, and just feeling better about their overall health and their mental health compared to people who didn't use saunas. But here's the part that really surprised me. It's about the dose, How much is enough? You might think more is always better, but that's not what they found. The single biggest jump in mental health and energy happened when people went from using a sauna less than once a month to just 1 to 4 times a month. That's the sweet spot.
And this really highlights a key takeaway. You see, for those really big health risks, like chronic inflammation, that Finnish study suggested you needed to go pretty often. But for just general well-being, to feel happier and more energetic, you might not need to hit the sauna every single day. It looks like a consistent but moderate habit is really where the magic happens for most people.
Okay, we've talked about all these incredible benefits, but now we have to get serious. We have to talk about safety. Because, and I want to be really clear about this, is a sauna for absolutely everyone? The answer is a firm, hard no. This is not something to mess around with, especially if you have certain health conditions.
The best way to think about a sauna session is that it's kind of like a workout for your body. It puts stress on your system. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure changes. It's a lot like moderate exercise. And that's exactly why, if you have any kind of heart condition, low blood pressure, or issues with your heart valves, you absolutely have to talk to your doctor before you even consider stepping into one.
And when it comes to pregnancy, the warning is even more direct. This is especially crucial during the first trimester.
Yeah, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists is crystal clear on this. Avoid overheating when you're pregnant. There's a specific number to keep in your head, 101 degrees Fahrenheit or 38.3 Celsius. Letting your core body temperature get above that, especially in that critical first trimester when so much development is happening, has been linked to a higher risk of certain birth defects. Plain and simple, it is not a risk worth taking.
So, let's say you're in the clear. Your doctor gave you the green light and it's safe for you to use a sauna. What does a typical, beneficial session actually look like based on the research we've been talking about? Well, that Swedish study gives us a fantastic blueprint. For that boost in general well-being, people were typically going about 1 to 4 times a month. They'd stay in for around 15 to 20 minutes per session, maybe do a couple of rounds, and the sauna temperature was usually somewhere between 60 and 80 degrees Celsius. That's about 140 to 176 Fahrenheit. So, is this ancient therapy a real key to modern wellness? You know, looking at the evidence we've just walked through, it really seems like for a lot of people, the answer is a big yes. It looks like a seriously powerful tool. It can potentially fight inflammation, soothe chronic pain, and give our mood and energy a real lift. When you use it safely, it is so much more than just sitting in a hot room.
So the big takeaway here, the science is definitely pointing to sauna bathing as a really promising practice for your health and well-being. But, and this is the most important part, you have to prioritize safety and get solid medical advice first. Thanks for watching The Explainer.